show, and today we have with us Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Very good, thanks for having me.
So
on.
what brings you to Malaysia?
Well, I'm here for the conference, which is about investing in Malaysia and so forth. And I also went yesterday and gave a speech to the students at Multimedia University, which was quite enjoyable.
You know, you're known for Wikipedia, right? How did that idea come about? I mean,
Well, I was watching the growth of the free software movement, or open source software, and seeing people come together online to collaborate in new ways. And I realized that that kind of collaboration could extend far beyond just software into all kinds of cultural work. So that was the original impetus behind Wikipedia. And well, we're almost 10 years old now.
But I mean, was there a defining moment that kind of enabled you to come up with this idea, or was it noticing a number of different trends, or it just happened?
It was a number of different twins, but I mean, it definitely came to me all in a flash, in the sense of I realized that it could be really great to have a free encyclopedia for everyone in all the languages of the world by bringing people together online to create it. That, to me, was a very exciting idea, and I started to write about it and talk about it and get people involved.
And what did people think about it? I mean, I know initially most people thought it was a crazy idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess initially most people never heard of us. So there was a small band of people who came together. We had a couple hundred people, you know, in the first year or so who were interested and excited in the concept. Everybody else in the media and so forth, nobody noticed us or cared what we were doing. So only later did they start to notice.
So, but there was no bad feedback, and this is a crazy idea, or?
Well, yeah, of course, but you know.
How did you overcome some of these things? Was it a big challenge?
Well, I mean, for me, you know, people, a lot of feedback is, well, what if Microsoft decides to compete with you, or what if this, what if that, what if the other? And I just said, well, you know, I'm having fun. I'm just having fun doing what I'm doing, and you know, and it turns out all the big bad competitors aren't that big and bad.
Right. And why isn't Microsoft, I mean, with Encarta being closed out basically through Wikipedia, why isn't Microsoft fighting back? Or why can't they do the same thing? I mean,
well, I mean, I think in part, you know, what we do is a pretty bad business in the general sense of things. You know, give away everything for free. We operate as a charity, so it's very much a piece of the community social infrastructure of the web. So there's, you know, not much to fight back against. I mean, it's the entire world. So
you know, they say failure is the mother of all successes, right? And you've had, as an entrepreneur, you've had Boomis and then Nupedia, right? Mm-hmm. Were those important failures for you in terms of your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I actually give a speech often to young entrepreneurs about, I call the speech Failure. Jimmy Wales is good at it, and talk about all my different crazy ideas that I've done and things that I've tried and worked and didn't work, both before and after Wikipedia. Some things work, some things don't.
What were some of them? I mean,
well, like one of them very early on, I had this, I still think a great idea about, I was working in downtown Chicago, and I launched a website where people could order their lunch online. In Chicago, the downtown area is called The Loop, so I called it Loop Lunch, and people were able to order. It was a complete disaster. No one cared. The restaurant owners looked at me like I was from Mars. Of course, that was back in 96, 97. It was too early. Nowadays, of course, such businesses do quite well in many places. So that was just one sort of, one that it should have worked, you know.
I mean, are there lessons that you picked out from each of these failures?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, and there are many, and they're varied, and you know, you in the early days, I mean, just learning things about software. You know, sort of recognizing that the way I was designing something wasn't the right way. Learning about communities. So, for example, Nupedia was the previous project to Wikipedia, very top-down, very controlled system, and it failed because I didn't really understand online communities, how to bring people together, how to make it easy to get started, and all those kinds of things. So, well, there's always something to learn.
Right. You know, one of the things with Nupedia, I think, is that you had people faxing in their diplomas and their credibility. Why has that changed with Wikipedia?
Well, it was so intimidating to get involved in Nupedia that nobody really wanted to participate, so it just didn't work at all. Now we judge quality of work based on the quality of the work, not on the quality of the person who does it. subtle shift, but an important.
The important one. But you know, how do you aggregate so many people to come volunteer for you? Because it is an amazing feat that not many people have achieved so far.
Well, I mean, I think we make it really easy to participate. We have a grand vision that everyone can understand. We care very much about working with the community to figure out what their needs are, and that's basically it.
Let's talk a little bit about your personal leadership journey. How, you know, over the last couple of years, you know, tell us a little bit about your journey and you know, how you've become the man you've become.
Well, that's a big, dramatic question. I guess in the last couple of years, I've been focused a lot on Wikia, so at wikia.com.
The for-profit.
It's been a fabulous experience, a learning experience for me. I mean, one of the things that I have been doing a lot of lately is I go out with the sales team on sales calls, talking about ad sales and things like this. It was something I knew nothing about a few years ago, and it's been fascinating to learn, you know, how that world works and what are some of the things that we can do or can't do and so on. I'm always trying to learn something new.
And you are an avid reader, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
What's some of the things what's some of the materials that have helped inspire you over the years?
Well, I mean, a lot of different things. Many years ago, I read one of Richard Branson's books, his first book. That pops in my mind because I just heard he's in town today, so I haven't seen him. But well, I mean, I read a lot of technology press on the internet. I'm very excited about the future, excited about new gadgets, new technology. That keeps me motivated and inspired because things are still changing very quickly. I see lots of new opportunities, lots of new ways that we can encourage more people to participate and sort of build greater online openness and communication. So lots of exciting things.
Did you have a specific role model or somebody that inspired you?
No, not really. I mean, many different
different ways and different.
And you know, lots of people who I admire, and you know, from famous people to my father, for example. You try to draw lessons from wherever you can.
Yeah. What lessons would you give our viewers in terms of, you know, if somebody wants to be an entrepreneur, what are some of the things they should think about?
Well, I think one of the most important things is this idea of embracing failure. I think one of the problems that a lot of people have in a lot of cultures in particular is a fear of failing. I'm going to look bad, I'm going to look like an idiot. It's one thing that in Silicon Valley has been one of the secrets of success is this embracing the idea that, hey, the person who goes and starts a sort of .com concept and it almost works, if it didn't work, learn something from it, is a really fabulous person to hire because they've got deep experience learned in the hard way. And so, and they may turn around and you know, work for a couple of years and then launch their next thing and launch their next thing. And that is something that you should surround yourself with people who admire.
But what keeps people like you know, I mean, when you fail, keep going, because most people just give up, you know?
Well, I mean, I think it's different for different people. I mean, for me, I just like to have fun. So I'm always trying to do the most interesting thing I can think of, whatever that might be at the time. And stirring up a bit of trouble is always fun. And so for me, that's it. And when something's not working out, I just, you know, I try to adjust and say, well, what can I do differently?
And usually it somehow works out.
So far, so good. Yeah, not always. Sometimes it just completely fails, and you have to stop doing it. You know, other times you just say, oh wait, I see now the problem is this, and I didn't know that. I had no idea before. I mean, I think a big part of it is both being persistent, but not being bullheaded persistent. You know, you're persistent in the sense that you don't give up on the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish, but you're also very flexible in realizing, oh, this seemed like the obvious way to do it. It's not working. Let's try a different way to get to the same goal.
Right. Well, you know, if I was a kid that's just graduating from university or school, what advice would you give me, you know, as I start my journey in life?
I mean, try to have fun. I mean, I think that's really, really important. It's sort of a cliche in a way, you know, follow your dreams, that kind of thing. It sounds like a cliche, but I think it's really, really important because if you do something for fun for 5 years and it doesn't work out in the end, hey, you had some fun. You can always get a boring job. Otherwise, the 5 years is going to go by no matter what you're doing. So you might as well be doing something that you personally find worthwhile, that you just enjoy the process of it itself, whether it's a success or failure. You had a great day because you did something that you thought was worth doing.
Yep. You know, many CEOs want to drive this whole open source concept. in their organization, in the whole collaborative environment, but they struggle. What advice would you give a senior or a CEO who's trying to drive his organization that way?
Well, I mean, I think a big part of it is you do have to set a certain culture from the top down, and it's a culture of letting go and allowing people to flourish, even though it may be uncomfortable for you sometimes. One of the biggest problems that I often see is that, yeah, the CEO says he wants open innovation and collaboration and so on, but he also wants to manage every single detail of everything, and you really can't have it both ways. You've got to learn to live with a little bit of chaos and people saying stupid things and people saying brilliant things. That's basically it. You have to really let go.
Okay. So what's next for Jimmy Wales?
Well, I'm very focused on Wikia. We're launching a lot of new software in the fall.
So what does Wikia do? I mean, just for background.
So Wikia is, we're building the rest of the library. So everything that doesn't belong in the encyclopedia, basically, or the reference section of the library. So it's great sites like Lostpedia, which is all about the TV show Lost and that sort of thing.
And the Star Trek one.
Star Trek one. I mean, there's all kinds of amazing wikis that people are building, and we're just trying to empower that. We're trying to change the software to make it easier for female demographic to participate more. A lot of different things going on.
And so that's for-profit. Is there a reason why one's for and one's not?
Yeah, I mean, basically, with the for-profit model, we're able to get a great deal more investment capital. We can push the software further, faster, and we can expand beyond the sort of nonprofit area into pop culture and all kinds of different, Encyclopedia, for example, is a parody of Wikipedia, and well, you can't really set it up as a charity; it's a joke site. So, it's just different models are good for different things.
Fantastic. Last question. What's a couple of pieces of nuggets that you can share with our viewers? Something for them to take home.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a very broad question. I mean, I think the things I've already talked about are probably pretty important. Yeah, embrace failure. Just try to be creative, try to do something fun. Well, if it doesn't work out, that's fine too.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, thanks so much for being here on the show with us.
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Jimmy Wales here on the Leaderonomics Show.